I'm your host, Larry Csonka, and this is episode 92 of the 411 on Wrestling Podcast. You can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, the 411mania.com website, and any major podcasting platform. Please make sure to subscribe to our show, share us around on social media, hit the thumbs up and subscribe on the old YouTube. We would greatly appreciate it. Joining me tonight is my regular co-host, Steve Cook. Steve, how are you tonight, sir?
Oh, hey. I'm doing fantastic and splendid, and let's go with PG too.
Have you seen any new movies lately?
No, I haven't seen any new movies lately. I'm one of those people who, whenever they have the Oscars and whatnot, and they talk about all the movies that are nominated, I never know any of those movies. I just don't.
Okay, I set you up for a classic line, Steve, and you just dropped the ball.
Yeah. What was it?
I asked you if you watched any new movies lately, and you're supposed to tell me you watched The Wizard of Oz for the first time the other day. Come on, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Jesus Christ. It's 12:10 a.m. for God's sakes. I've been up for like 20 hours.
You gotta remember, we gotta steal off the Raven Sandman shoot interview while we can. It's still fun.
we do have a Raven. We have a Raven topic tonight, actually.
Yeah, we'll do that real quick first when we get into the news. I'll let you talk about it next. I saw it pop up, but I didn't read it. So, but yeah, we're gonna start off. We're gonna do AEW and TNA NXT tonight as always. I was looking at the format for later on for next week, but yeah, AEW and NXT tonight, and we're obviously gonna hit the news like we like to do every week here because it's fun to keep up and talk about. So, Steve, first up on the news, what is this Raven stuff you were just bringing up? Because I saw it, but I didn't read it.
Well, if you're watching Dynamite tonight, you saw in the first match where the Dark Order made an appearance. They appeared in the crowd, and there was some hubbub going on, and people ended up getting taken out because people don't like the Dark Order. But if you were looking in the crowd, if there was a gentleman sitting behind the Dark Order, and that gentleman just happened to be none other than Raven.
Well, there you go.
Yes, Raven was sitting in the crowd behind the Dark Order. So we don't know if that means anything or if it doesn't mean anything. They might be putting Raven out there as maybe another possibility to be the Exalted One.
I just hope they're messing with people because obviously they've been heavy-handed on the Daniels teases.
Yeah.
And, having Raven in the crowd is a great tease. So it's like, yeah.
I think that's what that is. I think, Raven, I mean, they're in Atlanta, and I believe Raven does live in the Atlanta area, so he's probably there to check the show out anyway and say hi to some of his old buddies and whatnot. And somebody could probably figured, hey, why don't we just kind of stick Raven out in the crowd and see if people notice? Yeah,
I mean, honestly, I seriously didn't even notice. I was trying to pay attention to the match, which was very chaotic and action-filled, so trying to recap this as best as I could, but yeah,
there's a lot of stuff going on. Yes,
yeah. But that's a good little Easter egg, though. I like that. So, but yeah, lots of news to talk about, Steve. We got all kinds of stuff, and one of the bigger things that popped up early in the week was Tito Ortiz was training at the WWE Performance Center. And what was billed as a feeling out period between both Ortiz and WWE spread out over a few days to determine if they could work together at some point. Ortiz did some training, got familiar with how the company operates, and he has expressed interest in coming to WWE to work with Brock Lesnar or Cain Velasquez. I mean, obviously, my man is trying to probably pick up a nice Saudi payday, and who can blame him?
No, you can't blame him for that. Absolutely. I mean, anytime you can come in and get a couple $1 million, whatever the hell they make over there for not doing a whole heck of a lot of work, it's worth trying if you're Tito Ortiz. Me, I have absolutely no interest whatsoever in seeing Tito Ortiz in WWE at this point. Just, no, it doesn't do anything for me. But I can definitely see it happening simply because Vince is I think we've established Vince is a pretty big mark for these real athletes.
Pretty much. And,
I mean, you see the main event scene these days. It's Brock, it's Cain Velasquez, it's freaking Tyson Fury.
Well, hey, in their defense, Cain only actually worked the one show and then hasn't been back because he was smart and got signed with a knee injury and then got them to pay to take care of it.
Smart move.
So, yeah, I agree. I have really no interest in Tito. I saw Tito pop up in TNA. Listen, Tito does have great charisma. He's not exactly a great talker. But the real issue is you have to be real with the whole thing. Tito is 45. He has back and neck issues. And he had a really long MMA career. There is a lot of mileage on your body after that. Plus, I mean, honestly, I don't know how viable or valuable Tito Ortiz is in 2020.
Yeah. If the buy rate for the Tito and Chuck Liddell show was any indication, it'd be not very much. And I'm guessing it wasn't a whole lot different for Tito and Alberto Del Rio.
Probably not. I mean, but yeah, it's just but hey, you know what? If he can weasel a payday out of Vince and the Saudis, good for him. Don't want to see it, but I mean.
And you're right in that he's not really a great talker, but he does have an innate sense of charisma.
Oh, definitely. So.
He would been, I mean, if you rewind back 10 years or so, Tito could have done some good stuff in pro wrestling.
Probably, yeah. So, but we'll see what happens with old Tito there. Next up, looks like some good news for Sasha Banks. She got a role in season 2 of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. That Fox Disney WWE synergy working for her. And I know Sasha's had aspirations. She obviously loves wrestling, but she's also wanted to be a star, period. So very good news for if you're Sasha Banks there, Steve.
Yes, indeed. And it gives her more of an excuse to not be on SmackDown.
That's right. I mean, and can you blame her if you've watched SmackDown some weeks?
No, certainly not. Certainly not. Is there any? Does she have some kind of an injury? Is there some kind of an issue going on?
Well, they set up an injury that it was an ankle injury a while ago, and they were playing that up. I don't know if that was real or not, or if they were just finding a way to keep her off TV. It's hard to fucking tell with them because, you know, they do shit to do shit a lot of the time.
I mean, maybe part of her coming back was simply that she wouldn't work as many dates.
And that could be very well, exactly. That very well could be the case. And you know what? If she got paid for it, good for her.
Indeed. And getting to be on Mandalorian, pretty cool.
That's right. That's really cool. So, Steve, we talked some Hall of Fame stuff last week. We got some more Hall of Fame news. Looks like JBL and Davey Boy Smith are heading into the WWE Hall of Fame, Steve.
I thought they inducted JBL. I guess I didn't miss that, or I missed that, or one or the other. I thought he was already in.
No, he was part of helping to induct Teddy Long, but he wasn't inducted.
Okay, well, I mean, JBL I could care less about, but not exactly a surprise. The British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, long overdue. Long overdue. He should have been in there a long time ago. And you can make an argument, too, for him and the Dynamite Kid as the British Bulldogs tag team, but I guess that's not going to be in the cards.
That's probably not going to be. I have no problem with Bulldog going in. I know people have wanted it for an extremely long time, and I am in full agreement with you on Dynamite Kid. I think the Bulldogs going in, because the Bulldogs were a hell of a tag team, and then you look at the fact that, you know, Tom Billington was an early architect of what really became what the light heavyweight style is today still, because you look back on shit between 82 and 85 with Tiger Mask, and that shit still looks state-of-the-art today. So, I mean, just as a worker, and then people were to go, well, he didn't do a ton in WWE. Well, fuck, they're going to probably put Liger in this year. Liger, made, I think a couple appearances maybe before that TakeOver appearance or something, but still.
I'm going to say that was the one.
I mean, I think it was. So, I mean, yeah, so it's not like Liger, and they've also put in a bunch of other people that technically didn't do shit in WWE. No offense, Stevie Ray didn't do shit in WWE. You know, and he got to go in with Booker, so, I mean.
I still think they should have brought him as an announcer.
So he can talk about the yaks.
Sucker's gots to know, Tony.
The Elimination Chamber's coming up, Steve, and the women's lineup looks to be finalized. Shayna Baszler, Asuka, Ruby Riott, Natalya, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan. Steve, how you feeling about this?
So Shayna Baszler's going to win, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's pretty much my feeling.
Nothing to see there, to be honest with you. Yeah. I mean, with all due respect to all the ladies involved. But, yeah, that's the way that's going.
Yeah, the thing that more annoys me than anything, because like the SmackDown chamber with the men, in theory they could throw us a curveball and it may not be Roman, but with the women it really should be Shayna. They had the history from Survivor Series. They shot that big angle on Raw, and instead of just like Becky demanding, Becky should have just demanded that she gets to face her, and instead they're doing the Elimination Chamber bullshit. Feels like one of those matches that they're probably going to work really hard, but may suffer from a complete lack of drama.
Yep. And, yeah, it should be a complete lack of drama because we don't need to try to work the sheets. We don't have to be like, oh, let's work the sheets. Let's have Sarah Logan go over. That'll be good.
There you go. So, Steve, I got to tell you something. I'm not pleased with the NWA today.
Oh, you're not pleased with the National Wrestling Alliance or with the rep group?
The National Wrestling Alliance, Steve.
Oh, boy. What'd they do now?
Well, first of all, I'm still angry that they dropped Into the Fire.
Yeah, I think we're all upset about that.
I'm not a fan of that. But the other thing is, they announced this week that the Crockett Cup is set for Atlanta, and I was right about Atlanta. They're running a bigger building than I thought. I thought they may run center stage, but they're actually running one of the newer buildings there, a nice big building. Good for them. Here's the problem I have. They have decided not to run on a Friday. They're not going to run on a Saturday either. They've announced their pay-per-view for Sunday, April 19th. I find this to be not only inconvenient for me, but a completely stupid move for the fact that Impact has a pay-per-view that night and it's been announced for 7 or 8 weeks. I have no clue why, if you're a smaller company trying to make as much money as you are trying to make in one batch, why you would stack your pay-per-view up against somebody else. And I know people are going to... Hang on. I know people are going to go, well, it's just Impact or shit like that. But the fact is, I think it's a bad move.
I was going to go to the point where Billy Corgan and Impact have quite the history with each other. And they did not part ways on good terms. This
is true, but it's like, I don't know, dude. It's like, why not just do Saturday? Saturday at 6:05.
Is there anything on Saturday?
Nothing
Well, there's something on every damn Saturday. There's always something. There's always some kind of damn show.
There's probably some C-level UFC show on ESPN Plus. Who the fuck cares?
Probably something. There's always something, man.
But the thing is...
No matter what day you put on, it's going to be up against something.
Well, here's the thing. Even if, say, there's a UFC pay-per-view that night, if they go with their 6:05 start time, they're always done by 9:30, which means they're done before the pay-per-view main card.
Yeah.
So there's like no conflict. I don't see why you would want to run against another wrestling company when you're trying to get as much buys as you can. And maybe you're right. Maybe Billy's is trying to fuck with Impact. Still think it's a bad move though.
Well, I'm not saying it was a smart move, but I will say that I think when Billy found out that Impact was holding pay-per-view on that day, that didn't exactly encourage him to not do that. That probably encouraged him. He probably thought, okay, fuck him.
The other thing too is that April date is a little sketchy, man, because that's the Mania month, and there's approximately 500 shows WrestleMania weekend in Florida, and so any possible fly-in crowds are probably going to be really low for an NWA show. Now, granted, they're going to get their NWA fans who are loyal to the product to go to the show and everything, but again, you're running a bigger building, and you chose to do it in that super busy month. Again, not exactly, I think, a smart call.
No, I don't disagree with that at all, but it's their call, I suppose, and it's going to be the Crockett Cups. They're going to have Scroll and all this, from all indications. I think I don't know if that's made official yet or not, but
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's official pretty much at this point. And then you got the Crockett Cup tournament, so we'll see. Then they're gonna do the build up to that pretty soon. They're having tapings pretty soon, right?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. They probably, but
because I know they kind of got to the end of their most recent tapings, and that's why they had the circle squared thing this week.
Yeah, so we'll see what's going on with that. I just some questionable business moves, in my opinion, but
Billy Corgan has a 35-year plan.
Hey, yeah, I'm sure he doesn't give a fuck what I think either. So.
This is part of the plan, man. You got You got to take out your competition, which right now for them is Impact Wrestling.
There you go. So last thing on the news list is we got a little kerfuffle going on between MLW and WWE, Steve. MLW attorneys have engaged WWE attorneys over the past week, according to PW Insider, because MLW is alleging that WWE are attempting to tamper with contracted MLW talents.
What?
I know you're shocked, Steve.
The hell you say?
This reportedly has nothing to do with Davey Boy Smith Jr. appearing on WWE's The Bump last week, and according to all reports, it is regarding multiple talents. Since MLW started signing talents in 2018, the language in the contract specifically forbids them from working WWE dates, so any direct communication between signed MLW talents and WWE would be looked at as a breach of contract by MLW management. Obviously, third-party discussions have always gone on in pro wrestling. MLW has allegedly strengthened the exclusivity of their contracts with their talent since AEW came into launch in the year, and since their contracts were written on napkins and guys apparently signed exclusive deals and then walked away like Roosh.
Yeah.
Sketchy contracts. Talked about it lots of times with the Cubs fan. He was not impressed with these MLW contracts, and yeah, very sketchy contracts, Steve.
The Cubs fan knows a thing or two about sketchy contracts. I mean, he watches AAA and CMLL for God's sake.
That comes with the territory covering Mexico, man.
I mean, yeah, any contract in Mexico is not worth the napkins printed on.
So, and this is definitely, obviously, by Steve's laughter. This comes as no surprise, because if you remember a few years ago, before Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish and a few people got signed, ROH alleged the same thing with WWE and got into a little legal fight with them, which led to WWE waiting for ROH contracts to not only end, but wait 90 days for them to sign talent so that they could make sure they weren't alleging misappropriation or anything.
So, yeah, I think what's going to happen at the end of the day is WWE is going to get who they want eventually. That's usually how these things have gone throughout the course of the past 40 years or so.
They are. And the other thing is, I mean, obviously I'm not saying MLW is wrong. If you have guys linked to a good contract, I mean, you should push back. But the thing is, too, they have to be a little realistic about it, because you don't want to get into a legal battle with Jerry McDevitt and WWE, because they'll drag your ass out for years and make you go broke.
Mm-hmm.
So pick your battles, make sure you're picking the right guys, push back a little bit if you can. Try to scare them into a settlement or to backing off for a while. But yeah, they gotta be careful, because they don't want to lose a shit ton of money. And the thing is, again, I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying they're right, 'cause it is their talent if they have good contracts. But gotta be careful, Steve.
But yeah, it's the wrestling business, and we all know that WWE is going to get who they want eventually.
Yeah, I know you
That's how it goes. That's how it goes 99% of the time.
You sounded so shocked that WWE may be tampering with talent, Steve.
I know, right? I mean, we've never seen that before.
So that's gonna wrap up our short news and notes for the week, Steve. Brings us to AEW Dynamite, February 19th, 2020, Steve, in Atlanta, Georgia.
Home of the Braves, home of the Hawks, home of the Falcons, home of Atlanta United, home of the Thrashers. Well, the Thrashers aren't around anymore. Home of a lot of stuff, including professional wrestling, a classic wrestling town, Atlanta, as the NWA can tell you too.
That's right. So we started off the evening with the number one contenders tag team battle royal. The winners getting a tag team title shot at the pay-per-view coming up next weekend. We had the Young Bucks, SCU, the Strong Hearts, Best Friends, Dark Order. Not Uno and Grayson, but the Dark Order Geeks. Private Party, yes. The Butcher and the Blade, Santana and Ortiz, Jack Evans and Angelico, and the Jurassic Express, Steve. And at the end of the day, the Young Bucks won our tag team battle royal, as many expected, 1805. What were your thoughts on our opener?
Well, I thought obviously the right team won as far as storyline goes. I mean, we've been talking about the Young Bucks. We've been talking about Hangman and Kenny here for a while. So that seemed like it's going to be a match at Revolution. Spoiler alert, it is what it is. That's logical booking there. There was a lot of stuff going on, as we said earlier. It's kind of that's a tag team battle royal, so of course it's kind of a cluster mess. There's just people flying around, people doing silly string and all sorts of crazy stuff. There were a couple of high points that I especially enjoyed. I think we all enjoyed the Luchasaurus and the Butcher going at it. That was pretty good.
Nice hossy battle.
The two big bulls going at it. We might see more of that down the line. We'll see. I thought, the Butcher had a pretty good show in this match. I thought he got a chance to look good and may build up some stuff in the future for Butcher, Blade, and Bunny with a couple different trios, possibly with the Jurassic Express, possibly with the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. Some interesting stuff there, and of course Orange got to come in and do his stuff, and just a diabolical genius, man. Just keep trending there for so long, and we got a couple hugs, multiple hugs. Anytime there's a match with multiple hugs, that's always a good time. So, yeah, they've had the habit recently of having these tag team matches start the show off nice and hot and get the crowd excited, and that's exactly what they did here.
Yeah, I am not a big fan of traditional battle royals, Steve. I think a lot of them are rather bad. Because a lot of the time it's just standing around, not a lot going on, little brawling here and there. But I thought this one really bucked the trend, especially as a tag team one, because a lot of the times they're just not booked well. I thought it was really good. I thought it was a lot of fun. As you mentioned, they told a lot of little stories throughout the match. Crowd was into it. It was all action. I thought the layout was really good. And like you said, the Young Bucks winning were the right team winning for the story that had been established going in. And I thought this was like a rare, high-quality battle royal.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would agree that outside the Royal Rumble, you just don't see a lot of battle royals that you remember about a week or two down the line. Most of them just kind of throwaway things to set up a number one contender, pretty much like this one did. Except the guys were going at, and they got to do their spots, and everybody was happy.
I must say that, as you mentioned, Orange Cassidy at one point saved Trent's life, caught him on his shoulders, and walked him around the ring to keep him in the match, and then he got later low-blowed by the Bunny and taken out. Chuck Taylor felt betrayed on Twitter, Steve. He felt betrayed. He said, I got eliminated. Orange Cassidy saved Trent. And then he felt extra betrayed when Trent and Matt Jackson were running wild and they shared a hug during the match.
Yeah, I mean, one has to wonder if that's going to play a role in something down the line. Although, if I was Chucky T, I think I'd be smart enough to keep that tag team going.
That's right. But you can't blame the gentleman.
I'd value my paycheck over my feelings in that instance.
This is true, but you cannot blame the man for feeling a little betrayed, though.
Because
I mean, he said, Orange Cassidy didn't save him, Matt didn't hug him. It's a rough night for Chuck. Man.
No, Chuck's a sensitive soul. He just needs to get some Jim Beam, and he'll be all right.
This is true. We had a shot of backstage. Cody, Brandy, and Pharaoh were taking a walk to the ring.
Yeah,
getting ready for the evening. Women's action up next, Steve. Chris Statlander and Shauna. Chris Statlander, the favorite alien there, defeated Shauna at 8 minutes via pin. I thought they had a good and competitive match here. Statlander picking up the win made sense, as she's the one who's been getting the push more lately. I thought Shauna got to look good in the match, though. It was enjoyable. Big pop at the beginning of the match as Britt Baker joined for commentary and had a custom Starbucks-esque cup with Tony Schiavone's face on it.
Very nice.
And she brought him a low-fat mocha latte because Tony has been gone for 20 years and has to watch the pounds to stay on TV.
That's right. And then name spelled Tony as well.
Yes.
Because that's what happens at Starbucks, man.
And then another highlight was Jim Ross asked somebody to explain the alien thing to him, and Excalibur said, well, maybe Britt can explain it to you. She goes, I'd like to, but I'm more a expert in dental medical field, so don't really get it. Just a fun little stuff. But the coffee cup, the stuff with Tony and her is so much fun.
Tony continually kissing her ass too, just great stuff. Good times there. That's a good power couple right there. That's always enjoyable. And I thought the pretty good match. Statlander has impressed a lot of people on the indies, and she's had a pretty good run here in AEW so far. I kind of wish that Jim Ross would stop calling her the larger woman. That's kind of weird. I don't know. emphasizing the weight difference. Like I don't know about that,
Well,
man. And,
the
and
worst
it's not.
part, the worst part was at one point he's like, Statlander really taking that 40-pound weight advantage. I'm like, whoa! I'm like, Jim, calm down a little bit, brother. I'm like, can't you just say she's the more powerful athlete and leave it at that?
Because even. She's
not like that much bigger than her. You know what I mean?
And it's not even like she's Awesome Kong or anything, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, when it's Awesome Kong out there, okay, yeah, sure, you play up the weight advantage or whatever, but Statlander's not that, you know, she's not like, not Big Daddy Cool Diesel or whatever, you know? So I don't get JR's whole deal with that. And I think Shanna did a good job. She's been pretty solid in kind of working with some of these younger folks and kind of, you know, getting them to do their stuff the right way. She had a nice little series with Nyla Rose, and now she's working with Statlander, and I think she's got something coming with Britt Baker as well, if what they're saying on commentary is any indication. So, nice role for her. I thought they had a pretty good match here, and it's continuing the good trend as far as the AEW women's divisions goes, where it was off to a rocky start, but we're finally starting to get to have some nice, solid matches with these ladies.
That's right. Plus, you add in the recent Britt Baker promo stuff, and yeah, definitely turning around. There was one point during this match where I thought Chris Statlander died because she got knocked to the mat, and she's like laying against the bottom rope with her arms on it, and Shanna fucking killed her with a running dropkick. I was like, the alien is fucking deceased. So it was,
I feel like somebody dies every time she hits her finish. Look, like Shanna freaking bounced on her head, and it looks like that every time she does it. Like, Jesus.
Yeah. But good.
I guess Jay would point out how she has those wider legs that help cushion the blow or something. That's probably what he would say.
So, yeah, good little match. So I enjoyed this a lot. It was good stuff. It didn't overstay its welcome either because they were preparing Statlander for something else later. We got highlights of Nyla Rose winning the championship last week, which led to a Nyla Rose promo segment with Tony Schiavone. And you know what's funny is this is going to lead into the next segment, but I really think that, like, I like Tony a lot on commentary. I think Tony is a lot of fun because he seems like he's having so much fun and he's happy.
Yeah.
But I also really think that Tony should really be utilized more in this almost Mean Gene role. Because I think he's really good at it. The stuff with Britt Baker has been really good. His stuff with Cody's been really good. And the other thing was, during the Jon Moxley-Jeff Cobb match, which was next, Taz joined commentary, and Taz was excellent during that match.
Agreed. I mean, he's definitely good job of highlighting the workers involved there. But
I mean, it's a good problem to have right now. I guess you actually have some good.
Yeah.
I mean, here maybe we can just add Taz, and Jim Ross can take a walk.
I wouldn't mind that, but you know, somebody would make the argument that, I mean, JR equals ratings. So
fucking bullshit.
And JR probably has a role. JR probably has a role as well. I like JR in those sit-down interviews he does with people.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's a place for him in the company, obviously, but I don't think it's commentary every week. But so Nyla cut a promo, talked about the fans being annoying little bees, complaining about her title win. She said her title win was justice. She should have been the first champion. She should be the highest paid woman, and she should be on all the posters. The waiting, though, made her hungry, and she came back and broke bitches and broke Riho last week. Yeah. And you kind of really can't argue with that. She kind of did in the end of the day.
Yeah, she did.
Said she represents power, and you can say what you're going to say, but she's the queen bee around here. And she's going to only be a one-time champion because no one can beat her and no one else is a beast like her. That led to Chris Statlander popping out and pointing at the title, referring to the fact that she wants a title shot. Big Swole also popped out, and she seemingly wants a title shot as well. Strong little segment from the ladies here, a mini pull apart at the end. And like we said last week, and like you just said earlier, I mean, women's division obviously started extremely rough. Like Riho was kind of like the lone highlight for the longest time, but it was inconsistently booked and just a lot of stuff not clicking. Nightmare Collection stuff obviously didn't help. But you know, you got rid of the Nightmare Collection. You have Britt Baker killing it with the heel stuff right now. And you just have, like, the matches are getting better, and it just seems like the whole division is on an uptick right now, which is certainly a good thing.
No doubt about that, and I think that I definitely I see that I think Nyla's gotten a lot better. I think a lot of them are stepping up and proving whatnot. I'm kind of reading something on the Twitter here right now, so I'm kind of distracted because it's in relation to something I was about to mention with Big Swole when she stepped up to Nyla Rose and she happened to drop the word brother. I don't know if you heard that or not. You might not have heard that because it was off the microphone, but it was definitely definitely you could definitely hear it. And but I'm reading here where apparently it's all smoothed out, and apparently Swole meant nothing bad about it, so it's not an issue. But for a minute there, was like, oh wait a minute, that's all I don't know, you know. But apparently everything's okay.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure she meant nothing by it. It's the fucking wrestling, dude. I mean, how many brothers do you get in the locker room, you know? Seriously.
Fair point, but we're coming off. I mean, you have Jim Ross talking about the King of the Mountain. I don't know, and fucking Val Venus, who that guy.
What a piece of shit.
Another one who we had to talk about Val Venus a couple weeks ago, and I said back then back in 2010, I hadn't cared about Val Venus in like 10 years, and here he comes again. Trying to get himself booked for a match. Like, yeah, okay. I don't think the promoter's going to be beating his door down for that one.
I'm sure Val really cares about the quote-unquote integrity of women's wrestling. I'm sure that's in his foremost thoughts.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. But definitely good to read, though. There's nothing going on there. And we don't have to cancel Big Swole, so that's good.
Yeah, I heard it. I didn't think anything of it. I just... wrestling.
You're thinking of the pro wrestling brother.
Yeah, that's all I thought about. I mean, I think the reason I especially thought of that is there was a clip from the one of the, I think it was the Bischoff podcast with Conrad Thompson, and they were playing the promo before the one Hogan Vader match, and he was talking about Hogan's horrible overuse of the word brother, and Bischoff was like, "Well, it's not that bad," so he plays the promo. And it's the this is where the power lies promo, And there's something like in this 13-minute promo, I think it's like 24 brothers. And the best part is the promo's going on, and all you hear in the background of the promo is Conrad going, 1. And he's like, that's 2 brothers.
Did he at least mix in some dudes and jacks?
There might have been, but there was seriously 23 or 24 brothers. And it was nice. Just funny because Conrad was just deadpan in the background, like 17. Or 18. And then it's funny stuff.
You start to wonder why pro wrestling started having script writers, and that's exactly why, because people overuse these words like brother.
I will say what's funny is, do you ever kind of like chuckle when you're like in real life and somebody that is not a wrestling fan like uses wrestling lingo when you think they wouldn't?
Oh yeah.
My mother-in-law the other day, we're over at the house and she was trying to get the pasta maker to connect to this mixer she has. She has a little attachment for it. And she's sitting there and she's trying to get it, and her husband goes, "Hey, my father-in-law goes, 'Hey, what's wrong, Eileen?' And she's like, 'I can't get this damn gimmick to work.'"
Oh, I was hoping she's a gimmick. Oh, that's great.
And I'm just sitting there smiling. And of course, Christy's smiling at me because she knows why I'm smiling. It's like, yeah, little things like it. Yeah, I didn't think anything of it. But,
I guess, but non-issues, so we can move on now.
I talked with Kevin over the weekend, though. We were, I was so disappointed about the whole, not just the Val Venus thing, but the overall negative reaction to the Nyla Rose win. Not because she's a quote-unquote bad wrestler, because she didn't deserve it, but because of all the transphobia bullshit.
Yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't too surprising, because that's the kind of world we live in where these people are enabled and empowered these days.
And like I said, listen, man, if you think Nyla Rose happens to be a shitty professional wrestler, hate on her all you want.
Yeah.
But if you're just going to resort to that bullshit, stay out of my mentions, man. I'll tell you that right now. You're getting a fucking block.
Yeah, and we did not even bring up the issue last week talking about the match or anything. It didn't even cross my mind, to be honest with you. I didn't.
But I tell you what, though. I mean, the sad thing is like what should have been a big deal of a title change, number one, on TV, And number two, it was a historical moment because she is as far as we know, in major wrestling, the first transgender champion and African American to boot, and that was something she's very proud of. So it should have been like a nice, happy time for her, and then you got these fuckwads like Val Venus out there. So
yeah, and we're still in an era where we're bringing out Santina Marella and stuff like that too.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's like 47 other women under contract at the Performance Center that could have used that cameo. But hey, we had to relive the Santina Beth Phoenix thing that like nobody remembered.
Poor Beth got her head knocked off, and she had to stay in that match so long just so they could do that.
Right, I know. Anyway, let's talk about good stuff, Steve. Jonathan Moxley versus Jeffrey Cobb here. Chris Jericho's a hired assassin, and as I mentioned, Taz came out and joined commentary. Which
kind of the expert on he's kind of the expert when it comes to short guys that do a lot of suplexes, so it made sense.
Well, that and more like the grappling stuff. Although I did, I marked out on fucking AEW Dark real quick. I hate to go off track, but yeah, Taz and Excalibur do commentary, and the Young Bucks were doing a match with Peter Avalon and QT Marshall, and Matt Jackson did the rolling Northern Light suplex spot. But instead of like 3, he did like fucking 8 of them, right? And Excalibur was like, Taz, what do you got to say? He goes, I'm jealous, brother. And he's like, why? He goes, I wish I would have thought of that. He goes, I wish I could steal it now, but I can't.
Yeah.
So I just thought, no, Taz is really good when I loved when he commented like in TNA, like on like the Samoa Joe Kurt Angle matches, like Desmond Wolfe matches. Whenever it's like the more serious matches with grappling, and as you mentioned, guys throwing suplexes, Taz is in his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And is really good here. So he joined commentary. Le Champion Chris Jericho arrived in the crowd with with Sammy Hagar, as we like to call them.
By the way, did we mention how Sammy Guevara nearly died in the opening match too?
No, we kind of glossed over that. Yeah, they
oh yeah, the poor boy tries to jump off the top rope onto Matt Jackson is mad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they redid
poor
the Shelton
Matt
Benjamin
super kicks the
HBK
man's
spot.
damn head off. Oh my god. It looked. I said on Twitter like Sammy Guevara is 22.
Yes,
he died. He died. That boy dead, but somehow he managed to recover in time to come back out with Jericho for this match because they had tickets.
Well, listen, Sammy's the ultimate worker. He reminds me of the Big Show in the WWE Jetsons movie. See, in this Jetsons movie, the Big Show gets frozen in a block of ice. And the reason he gets frozen in a block of ice is because he charters a plane and flies it himself because he doesn't want to miss his shot working Sheamus for the championship. Sure. But it goes down into waters and he gets frozen for centuries until George Jetson finds him. So Sammy's just a good brother and a good worker, and he was going to make his date.
Yep.
But anyway, this obviously set up last week. Odd tangents tonight, but we're having fun. Jon Moxley defeated Jeff Cobb 11-20 via pin, Steve. And the first thing I want to say is, not only was this really good, but I think Cobb looked great in his debut. And I don't really think, because of everything they did, that anybody's really going to remember he lost his debut. Because number one, Moxley should have won. Number two, the Inner Circle attacked. We had a big beatdown. Dustin tried to make the save. He got beat up, until Darby Allin arrived. Lights out gimmick. Darby Allin appears with the skateboard, arrives, runs wild.
That damn Road Warrior pop, too.
That's right. He did. He was fucking over like a motherfucker. So he ran wild with his skateboard. Mox and Jericho went face-to-face, had like a 3-second scrap until Jericho powdered. First of all, really good match. Second of all, hot closing angle. Thirdly, the post-match angle set up and helped build 3 of the pay-per-view matches coming up next weekend. Moxley and Jericho, Darby Allin and Sammy, and Dustin and Hager.
Yeah.
I mean, that's economic booking there for, what, a 15-minute total segment?
Yeah. And don't you want to see a trio match with Moxley and with Dustin and with Darby Allin? Wouldn't that be good stuff?
I wrote that in my review. I was like, possibly a trios match next week. That'd be kind of cool. But, yeah, cool. I mean, it's definitely, I loved what they did here because they made the most of their time. Again, you were building the 3 pay-per-view matches. The match was really good. Thought Cobb looked great in there in his debut, and obviously Moxley has to win because he's going in to face Jericho. And just an overall positive addition to the show, I thought.
And Cobb's still working the free agent gimmick, right?
As far as I know, that's the latest word on it.
So so obviously, if he's a free agent, I mean, you can obviously use him in spots like this, but you're not gonna have him go over your top guy.
Exactly.
That would be pretty dumb. That would be there are some companies that have done that sort of thing in the past. TNA Coffee, TNA, they did that all the time, didn't they?
Yes, but a very economic use of the time on the show, I thought.
Yeah, a good match too. And from reports I had seen, some folks were kind of down on the Moxley Cobb match from the G1, I guess, and they got a chance to redo it.
Yeah, I think they were that match. There was a lot of high hopes for that one, and it just never really got there. Plus, it was a little short too. So, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? You're gonna go out there and you're gonna suplex John Moxley a bunch.
That's right. So, with Steve Cook, we had a title match, the AEW Tag Team Championship match. Our champions, Kenny Omega and Adam Page versus the Lucha Brothers. And our champions retained in 15:25, Steve, via pin. What did you think of our tag team title match?
Oh, good stuff. I mean, Omega and Hangman just kind of get better together with each passing week, and it's nice to see the Lucha Bros get a chance to shine here, and they've shown pretty well. We've seen these teams go at it before in different environments, and they have pretty good chemistry with the stuff they do. So I enjoyed it, and right team won because you got to set up that match between the Elite Brothers, and of course, you had to have Nick and Matt come down again and try to steal the thunder. Like, what's the deal with those guys, man? It's crazy.
I don't know.
Just come down and try to steal Hangman's thunder. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, after the match, the Young Bucks arrived and were checking on Kenny, and they almost had a pulling war with Paige over Kenny. And then Paige just powdered so he can go out and chug a beer, because that's what he does.
And I noticed that he probably saw the people on Twitter knocking him for the way he sipped his beer. So he decided he made sure they chugged that one. That's just right. So y'all knew.
So I thought this was a great tag match. We've had a lot of really great tag matches here on Dynamite as late this month, and I thought they did a good job of setting things up early on. They slowly opened things up. They let loose Don to stretch with all the big stuff. Thought we had some really great near falls. Obviously, as you mentioned, champions retaining gives us the match they've been teasing for weeks. Thought everybody delivered here. I thought there were some great hooks and teases throughout. I thought it was a fantastic mix of that high-octane modern wrestling and just a really engaging story that we've been building to. And in all honesty, I thought it was one of the best AEW TV matches so far.
And I thought it was, it was high-end modern type wrestling and whatnot, but it didn't feel like it was excessive.
Exactly.
Because some of these matches feel like they're excessive. And, since I watched TakeOver over the weekend, there were some good matches on there, but some of them were a little bit excessive. Let's be honest,
So,
but that's NXT,
Real quick while we're on there, what did you think of the Adam Cole Johnny Gargano, or Adam Cole Tommaso Ciampa main event?
That's kind of one of those matches that probably could have used a little time shaved off. But I can't say they did bad work or anything. It probably could have used a little. They kind of went over the top with some of the booking, with the run-ins, with the ref bump, and kind of a Jeff Jarrett special in that way. And then you have the closing with Gargano turning against Ciampa, which, we'll probably talk more about that later. But I got to tell you, I did not hate that part as much as a lot of people seem to.
No, I didn't.
A lot of people got mad.
I didn't hate that. The thing that really took away from me is I thought that they were building a really great story. You had Ciampa kind of running wild early. Adam Cole eventually cuts him off with that German onto the announce table. And he's going to target the neck of the dude that was out for 9 months because of his neck injury.
Yeah.
And I thought that was smart, and I thought that they were telling a great story, and they're going to tell this. The whole story is going to be, can Ciampa overcome? Can he get back to the title and overcome the neck injury? And I'm digging this match, and I'm into this match. And then they brawl to the floor. And then Adam Cole hits a fucking Panama Sunrise on the floor. And then 3 seconds later, they roll in, and Ciampa's hitting his fucking finishers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you just fucking flippy power drove a dude on his surgically repaired neck, and I didn't get a count out tease.
Petey Williams probably had a stroke, the poor bastard.
Yeah, and I'm not like you have to sell everything like death. But that one kind of got to me and started to take me out of it. I was like, come on, man. I'm like, you just had this really great story going. Why'd you do that?
That's what they did. That's the way they're taught down there, just to kind of go crazy.
So, they had an announcement. Well, we're getting AEW action figures this year, Steve.
Yes, action figures.
So, and that's
very
cool.
Exciting.
That's very cool. And you kind of had to think the possibility of more licensing deals were going to come once they announced the TV extension. I think people were once that hit. I think people were like, yeah, they're going to start getting some more stuff, and that's good.
Yeah, now you can do the action figures, and now you can probably. I'm sure there's going to be a video game here at some point.
Yeah, if they can get a deal for sure, and then did you see about the Germany TV thing? The one company that was carrying WWE is going to be done with WWE, and they picked up AEW.
Oh,
so I mean, that's
they got the same German announcers.
I have no clue.
I don't know if the announcers are employed by WWE or by the network, but you know. Yeah.
But again, it's and again, it's not like they're not. These aren't like the hugest deals in the world, but positive steps forward are always good.
Yep.
So next week we got Pac versus Omega in our 30-minute Iron Man match, Steve.
Yeah.
As well as the Best Friends versus the Butcher and the Blade with the Bunny.
There you go. Yep. Kind of they built that during the Tag Team Battle Royal. So
see if Orange Cassidy can get any revenge on that harlot.
Oh man, I mean, I'm sure that. Well, you know what? Orange Cassidy wrestles enough ladies on the indies. I wouldn't be surprised if he had met the Bunny somewhere before.
Brother, she kicked
idea.
She kicked him into Clementines.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yes, she did. Oh, God love her.
So that led to our main event of the evening, Steve. The steel cage match between Cody and the Wardlow. First of all, this was pinner submission and no escape bullshit, which made me very happy.
No escape bullshit, that's right.
First of all, what did you think about the look of the cage?
I thought it looked like a cage, man. I know they had the big frame, which made it easy to climb up on the side, which you got to have. But I thought the cage was fine, and I thought the extension below the ring apron was pretty good too, and that played into things later on as well.
That's right. So
because usually it's kind of cut off on the ring surface, but that went all the way down.
So, cool. As you would expect, Cody defeated the Wardlow at 11:20 via pin so that he can get officially his match with MJF at the pay-per-view, Steve. What did you think of the match overall, and what did you think of the debut of the Wardlow?
I gotta tell you, I was impressed with the Wardlow because I was not really sure what to make of the guy as far as his in-ring ability goes. I never saw the guy work anywhere, and who knows? It could have been bad. It could have been just a big dude. But I thought the guy did a good job, and this was the kind of match where it's going to be carried by emotion and stuff anyway. So even if he was terrible, it would have been okay. But no, the guy looked good. Guy looked good in there. Did some good stuff. Beat the crap out of Cody there for a while, and Cody just a master of drawing that emotion out of you too. You had a couple big moments. You had the moment with MJF and Arn Anderson going at on the outside too. That was something else. With Cody by the cage door and MJF telling Arn to close the door like you did back in 1985 or wherever he said, But Arn decided to close the door on MJF instead. Pretty great. Good stuff there. And of course, the way they ended it, frickin' Cody Rhodes doing a frickin' moonsault off top of the cage. That's insane. Crazy stuff. But man. Crazy. Exactly. Crazy stuff, and it'll probably be replayed for a very long time.
And the thing was, too, is I think we should make sure everybody understands, Cody just didn't do a random fucking moonsault off the cage. The big moonsault off the cage was the finish.
Yep.
So, I know people are to bitch, but I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was really good. I thought Wardlow looked good in his debut. And for me, Steve, and I think you'll agree because you were a fan of the old school stuff, this felt like a classic territory style story.
Yeah.
Cody was beaten down. He was bloodied up. He had to overcome the odds. He beats the big man. He has to pull out all the stops to do so. And now in 10 days, he finally gets his chance at revenge against the man that took the title away from him, took any chance that he has at the title away from him when MJF betrayed him. And it's a classic pro wrestling story. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, man. You just have to do it good. Cody's a babyface. He's in Atlanta. He's in that hometown territory. He gets the juice. The crowd is going nuts. He overcomes the Giant. You get that big spot. And again, Arn takes out MJF to make sure he doesn't get involved. Because I was worried when they popped the cage door open. I was like, oh, nope, don't. I was like, this is your first fucking cage match. Please tell me it is going to be important and viable going forward and not bullshit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, because as you said, they had a spot where Arn went to the cage door and Cody's kind of draped out. And MJF is like, slam the door on him, slam the door. And MJF, and Arn grabs the door and he looks like he's thinking about it. But nope, MJF gets a face full of cage door. And, Cody makes the big comeback. And, people were going to bitch that Wardlow lost in his debut. But the thing is, the Wardlow survived Crossroads.
Yep.
And then Cody had to finish him with a fucking moonsault off the cage. He also survived the Cody Cutter, which Cody has pinned people with as well. So, he got to survive. He got to beat the shit out of Cody. And I really enjoyed this. Thought it was really good, Steve.
Yeah. Thank goodness he's able to catch Cody on a moonsault, too, because that could end badly. I thought MJF did a great job making Arn Anderson look like a viable physical threat, too. He was bumping around like a pinball for the guy.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. And, man, how pissed are people going to be here at Revolution when MJF gets a win? Oh, man, people are going to be furious.
Well, I hope so, because that's kind of the whole goal.
Oh, yeah. It's gonna be good stuff. Oh, man. But, just really good. And, yeah, and especially for a first-time cage match in AEW, that's a good way to start the gimmick off.
Yeah, and again, they made it mean something, because you didn't have people getting in the cage. You didn't have anybody getting out of the cage.
Even when they had the door open, nobody interjected themselves and stepped in the ring.
So, but yes, I greatly enjoyed this. So I'm very happy, Steve. So that is AEW for the night. That is going to lead us to, obviously, NXT, also February 19th, 2020. Undisputed Era opened the show. Kyle O'Reilly was sad that he doesn't get the air guitar on his belt anymore because they lost him. Adam Cole talks about beating Ciampa because the Obsession will never beat his destiny and that he is the greatest NXT champion of all time. They're still the measuring stick of NXT, and Roddy's going to prove it tonight against Velveteen Dream. Velveteen Dream's voice is heard over the speakers, tells Roddy to leave the boys behind and prove he's a man tonight. Do it for Marina, and Roddy promises to make him wish he never returned.
Yeah. It was an interview segment.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was there.
So we started off in-ring action. NXT Cruiserweight Champion Jordan Devlin defending against Lio Rush. Jordan Devlin retains 1835 via pin, Steve. What did you think of our opener?
Well, I thought it was a pretty solid showing for Jordan Devlin, who's a guy they're trying to establish over on this side of the pond as a legitimate threat. As he's already won the championship, and he's got a lot of chance to impress so far, and he's done pretty well. And Lio Rush also got to look impressive in his loss, but they went back and forth. But at the end of the day, it's all about continuing to establish Jordan Devlin is a big deal.
As it should be. And I found this to be a very good title match. I enjoyed it. They got a lot of time. Both guys continue to deliver for NXT. Leo is obviously really good. Jordan Devlin retaining is the right call right now because he's a guy you really need to showcase because up until recently, they've done a poor job of doing that. So, he got that big match with Tyler Bate at the NXT UK TakeOver, getting the Cruiserweight title run. And, you give him a run for a while because, Leo's great. Leo's only going to get better. And Leo's like fucking 23. There's plenty of time for Leo to have another run, you know?
At 23 years old? Yeah, well, you hope so. Yeah.
So, Backstage, Dakota Kai and her new heater, Raquel Gonzalez, were interviewed about their new alliance that started a takeover when Raquel Gonzalez cost Tegan Nox the street fight match. Raquel was talking about they understand what Dakota. She understands what Dakota went through because Tegan got all of the opportunities while Dakota was pushed aside, and that's what Raquel saw happen to her at the Performance Center. Unfortunately for them, angry NXT dad William Regal arrived and told Dakota that she's going to be facing Tegan Nox in 2 weeks inside a steel cage, Steve.
Inside a steel cage. So. Goodness gracious. I mean, you already put the woman through a street fight, for God's sakes. Now you're going to throw her in a cage? I don't know about this. I don't know about this, William Regal. Seems a little excessive to me. And poor Tegan Nox, for God's sakes, trying to take that bump through her table. That was... I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but that did not work out. That did not work out.
Unfortunately, an I am the table moment.
Yes. Bad times. Bad time. It's been bad times for the ladies in tables recently.
Yeah.
It's not working out. Not working out. But so you got that coming up in a couple weeks. A big old steel cage match. We'll see if that's a big blow off to his feud or not. I tend to guess probably not, but yeah, these things tend to go on for a while.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, we've seen them do steel cage matches in the past, and sometimes it's been used for a write-off to send somebody to the main roster. So, I mean, we'll see what they decide to do. But I'm a fan of the match because I really like their takeover match. So, finish was a little flat with Raquel and everything, but that aside, I really thought they kicked ass in their match to pay-per-view. So
here's the question, real quick: if they were to use this as a write-off match to send somebody to the main roster, who are you sending? Because I think they've got this thing going with Dakota and Raquel Gonzalez here, where I would think Dakota be staying around for a while. I would think.
I kind of think they would. Plus, I kind of think you need heels around. I kind of don't want either of them to be called up because. You're going to be pulling Shayna up. You're going to be pulling... I think they should pull Bianca up.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you want to pull someone else up. Now, granted, there is a shit ton of talent. Because, I mean, again, like this week, we didn't see like Candice LeRae or Mia Yim, just to name two, and Io's out of action. I mean, obviously, there's a ton of talent to pull from. Yep. But I don't have a lot of faith that they would do a lot with either Tegan or Dakota on the main roster.
Yeah, as much as I hate to say it, I think both of them would probably wind up lost in the shuffle pretty quickly.
Although heel Dakota Kai teaming up with Aunt Pam on SmackDown wouldn't be horrible.
That could work. I could see that.
So, got a Rhea Ripley promo from TakeOver where she talked about Charlotte accepting her challenge, and she said she got what she wanted and said that even queens can get nightmares because Rhea's going to fuck that bitch up. Hope so. But,
very well could. It's I think it's the right match to have.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Young Austin Theory arrived. I guess he was going to have a match, but Tommaso Ciampa walked out and interrupted him.
See that? We never found out who he's going to wrestle either. That always bothers me.
Yeah,
that's a pet peeve of mine.
Ciampa basically warned him. He basically told him, "Don't try me tonight, son." So said he was too focused on getting Goldie back, and he missed all the signs leading to what Johnny Gargano did to him at TakeOver. Theory tried to grab onto him to stop him, got his ass beat. Ciampa just said he was going to get his life back. There can be no Gargano in NXT, and Ciampa just beat the shit out of this young man and threw him into the barricade about 57 times. And Austin Theory chose poorly.
He did, but this kind of furthers the story that I'm getting out of this, is that Tommaso Ciampa is still not a very good person.
No, he's really.
I mean, the man walks out in the middle of Austin Theory's match. Even before Austin Theory can have a match, this poor kid Theory, he hasn't been around for too long. He's trying to get a break. He's hoping to get a big win here on NXT, further his career. And what happens? Ciampa comes out, starts blabbering on about whatever the hell he's blabbering on about, and Austin Theory wants to have a match. He wants to wrestle. He wants to do something. So Ciampa just beats the crap out of the guy. I don't know. That wasn't a very nice thing to do, I thought.
So we got a Finn Balor video package where he talks about every hyped opponent has fallen to him, and he's going to be back next week on the show. So,
well, there you have it.
Finnegan coming off of a big TakeOver win.
Yep.
Steve, this next match featured NXT regulars Joaquin Wilde, the former DJZ, and Raul Mendoza. Their opponents, because I know you're not familiar with the brand, these are the Grizzled Young Veterans. The bald gentleman is Zach Gibson. The other man is James Drake. They claim to be not only Liverpool's #1, but the best tag team in the business. So I know the NXT UK guys kind of all run together for you.
They tend to be honest with you. They all kind of, when you flip back and forth between these shows and you see random dude in tights, one random dude in tights, two, one's bald, one's got hair. That could be any number of teams to me. I don't know.
This is fair. So the Grizzled Young Veterans won at 4:35 via pin. I thought they had a perfectly solid and fun little 4.5 minute match. Grizzled Young Veterans won. I'm not really sure why the fuck they're there this week, other than the fact that they're absolutely doing nothing with them in NXT UK right now, even though they're former champions.
Well, from what I think they're gonna. From what I can tell, from looking at the tweets and looking at how they're booked here and how they were booked in the Dusty Classic, I would say that the Grizzled Young Veterans are probably gonna be over here for a while now.
I mean,
that's the way they're booking it,
Definitely a possibility, and unfortunately, I think we know who they're going to feud with. We'll talk about it later. James Gibson ran down the Neckbeards and Ignorant Yanks.
What's wrong with I don't understand. I feel like this guy probably knows something about neckbeards.
Yes, he was not pleasant this evening.
No.
The Bruiserweights Rod came through celebrating with the crowd, with Matt Riddle hugging people, Pete Dunne being Pete Dunne, just kind of raising the title and giving out some fist bumps.
At least they didn't sing.
That's right. They asked where the golf cart was, and Pete reminded them that it got impounded because of Riddle. Riddle says they both partied hard, but their Dusty Cup partied so hard that it failed the wellness test and got suspended.
That happened from time to time.
So that led to the Bruiserweights versus Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan Steve. Champions winning the non-title match in 11 minutes via pin. What did you think of our next tag team match here?
Well, it made, you have to have the tag team champions win, even if it's a non-title match. Sometimes the phrase non-title match means that the champions are going to lose. At least, certainly, that happens on other shows. But fortunately, on NXT, you have Dunn, you have Riddle here, and they need to win these matches. They need to look good. And Lorcan and Burch, I think we all know they're two solid professional wrestlers. And this is kind of what they excel at, which might be unfortunate for them that they excel at putting people over. But they do a darn good job at it, right?
They do.
Which might be unfortunate because, you get kind of pigeonholed in that slot from time to time. And, as much as I enjoy Oney Lorcan on the Twitter machine, it's kind of tough to see him really ever getting an extended push on top of anything. But, he's going to be around and working good matches, so good for that.
That's right. Oni is only Oni can, tweeted in all capitals. Got my ass kicked on NXT tonight.
Accurate.
So, yeah. Good little match here. Obviously didn't go really long, but good work from everybody involved. Like I said, Oni and Danny are just rock solid and always good. They can be great when they need to be. This is, like you said, unfortunately kind of probably going to be their role. I mean, they popped over and did NXT UK for a taping, and they won like a match or two, and then they lost the important match. So, I mean, at least you're going to get something good from them, which is the good thing. Yeah. And but yeah, it's a nice little TV match here to have coming out of TakeOver. Champions, picking up where they left off at the TakeOver, picking up a win, and obviously still a really fun and entertaining team. We will see how long they last, Steve.
I think they might last a little longer than people think. I just got a feeling about them.
Yeah. I don't know how long. I don't have a ballpark or anything. I was just, we'll see. But yeah. Roddy was backstage and told the rest of the Undisputed Era that he needs to do his match alone tonight for them to stay there. And then we got this fucking bullshit. The Forgotten Sons were upset on Twitter about the Grizzled Young Veterans wanting to take over NXT and referencing neckbeards. And
yeah,
they said they're going to beat their ideals into them. And all I could think of when I saw this, Steve, was, fuck off! Go away!
Yeah.
Nobody likes you. You're the Forgotten Sons for a reason. Nobody can possibly give a fuck about you.
Now, the old question that Mark Nutley used to ask on ROH commentary comes to mind here. Who do you root for in a match like this?
Oh, the Grizzled Young Vets, because the Forgotten Sons are a bunch of fucktards. They suck.
Well, the Grizzled Young Veterans are making fun of ignorant Yanks and talking about neckbeards. Am I supposed to like them?
Yes, but at least they have regularly quality matches. I can't deal with fucking bad professional wrestling or poor professional wrestling. Or just bland professional wrestling, which all fall under the Forgotten Sons category. Check all the boxes.
I mean, it's a fair point, especially when you insist on jamming everybody in the free world into the WWE Performance Center. That you want to shove every wrestler into that place, but yet you trot these people out on TV.
No room for these fuckers on TV. Get them in the bin like Kushida.
Back on the Largo loop. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, throw them in the box to OVW like the Spirit Squad.
Poor bastards.
So, North American champion Big Keith Lee arrived, and he was looking all happy after retaining his title, was going to have some promo time. But speaking of another fucktard that needs off my TV, Kona fucking Reeves arrived. Kona fucking Reeves. This dude.
Who does he know?
I know, right? Somebody told me, like, he's dating, like, somebody that might have, I don't know, but...
Oh, gosh. One of those.
This fucking guy, but before he could really speak, Keith Lee killed him with a pounce. They rang the bell. He hit the ground zero, and that was it. I don't call it the Big Bang Catastrophe, because I think that's a shitty name.
You don't call it the Big Bang Catastrophe, which... over on offteam.com, we finally figured out the double entendre behind that.
I know, right?
It's like, that's what they're doing. Okay. Yeah.
Right up there with the Submission Sisters.
Yes. In any event, that was, I can't even say that was a match because that was barely even a match.
My official results read: Champion Keith Lee defeated Kona Reeves at 10 seconds via pin, rating LOL.
I will say it's a good sign for equality if, in fact, Kona Reeves is getting pushed because of who he's dating.
I don't know. It's just like I don't even know.
Because usually we accuse the women of doing that, but now we're accusing the men of doing that. So cool. We're moving on. We're it's equality, man.
I have no time for Kona Reeves.
Can we speculate on which one he's dating?
No, I don't. Like I said, I'm not even sure if it's true. But...
I wouldn't have the slightest idea, but
I will say at least it only lasted 10 seconds, and Keith Lee got to kill a man, so that's always good.
Then you don't often hear the phrase, at least that only lasted 10 seconds.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do, Steve?
Hey, we are going to watch Donovan Dijakovic come out.
Yeah, Dominic Dijakovic arrived, said he wasn't ready to move on yet, started making excuses for why he lost. Keith Lee didn't want to hear any of this bullshit, but he was like, well, the fans do want us to fight forever. Said he won on Sunday and he's willing to do it again, and all I could think of was like, I mean, sure, it's likely going to fucking roll again and kick ass, but was kind of hoping for Keith Lee to move on to something new.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I mean, yeah, and we sound terrible for complaining about the match because it was a really fun match at TakeOver, but again, you're kind of thinking, well, maybe it is time for Keith Lee to face somebody else. I don't know. Maybe do they just not have any ideas for other people from the face or what? Yeah. And if you don't have other ideas for people from the face, then why the hell is he North American champion?
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I'm sure it'll rule if they do another rematch, and I'll love it. But I just, like I said, I was kind of looking for something fresh coming out of this,
Well, Keith Lee will still be basking in the glory and all that stuff, and we'll be feasting our eyes and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of feasting your eyes on something, this next match, I was feasting my eyes on something.
Chelsea Green versus Caden Carter,
yes.
Steve, and I saw you had an observation about young Chelsea Green's ring gear.
Yeah, it seems to me that her ring gear is getting smaller with each passing week, which is not something I'm complaining about, ladies and gentlemen.
I saw you post that, and I'm like, at first I'm like, oh, Steve, you fucking horn dog. And then
but hey, let's
hang on. Then I turn on NXT and I'm like, he might not be wrong.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I am not complaining. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, there's it does seem like there's it being a lot less covered up with each week.
So Chelsea Green versus Caden Carter. This match starts off, Steve, and they work for like 2 minutes, and it's whatever. And then Bianca Belair comes out and rolls in the ring with a microphone.
Yeah.
And she gives him the "I'm gonna let you finish," But I have to talk about Charlotte. You don't even go here, I told you, and you put your hands on me. I don't care if it's on NXT or somewhere else. I'm going to whoop that ass. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But I'll get back to it in a minute. So this was followed by a series of sloppy slow motion roll-ups by Chelsea Green. And then Chelsea Green went to hit her finish, which is the unprettier. Now, you guys remember this. Billy Kidman used a version of it. Christian used a version of it. Kazarian uses a version of it. You grab the arms, you turn them around, and you're standing with them, and they're facing down. You drop down, and you drop them face first on the mat. Correct, Steve?
I've seen Laurel Van Ness do it plenty of times, yes.
Yes. So, but the gist of the move, Steve, is you turn them around, right, and you're dropping them on their face.
Yeah.
Now, what did Chelsea Green do in this match, Steve?
She did the complete opposite of that, Larry.
Somehow, Chelsea Green hooked her finish wrong, turned Caden Carter over, and dropped her in a flat back bump.
Yeah.
I'm watching the GIF right now. I'm like, how do you fuck up your finish?
She just completely lost track of which way she turned her, and I guess she had her back to her so she couldn't see the face was facing straight up. You know, that was awkward and weird and strange and whatnot. And you also had Robert Stone doing lame interference. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, leading to that finish. So here's the thing, Steve. It's like, first of all, we talk about how TV time is a premium. We talk about how loaded this NXT women's division is. You can't be out there allegedly getting a push and fucking your finish up. I don't know about you, Steve. Chelsea won at 440 via pin. First of all, I thought the match was no good at all. I thought it was a rare miss for the women's division. And thirdly, why can't Bianca just come out and maybe beat the shit out of them post-match and cut a promo? Don't do it in the middle of the match.
Why can't Bianca cut a promo backstage like other people?
Yeah. So
I hated that. I thought that made no sense. The match was pretty blah. But, I think you're being a little harsh towards Miss Chelsea Green, though. I think you're being a little harsh.
She fucked up her finish on national TV, Steve.
Maybe she was trying to adjust to her new ring gear.
She fucked up her finish horribly on TV, Steve.
In
a gimmick that's not getting over with Robbie fucking E.
No, that gimmick's not going anywhere. I agree with you on that. That thing's dead on arrival. That's not going to get over. But I still think that Chelsea Green has a lot of potential. I'm sorry. There's a couple things there that's just she has some things going for her. I'm sorry. And how does Zack Ryder keep getting all this stuff too? Like, man, the guy goes from Emma to Chelsea Green. Like, how does Zack Ryder do it? And why are we complaining? Why do we feel sorry for Zack Ryder when that's what he's coming home to?
I think Chelsea Green is low key into the action figure market.
Maybe. Well, she kind of looks like some of the action figures I've seen in the past, to be honest with you.
But yeah, I don't feel bad for Zack Ryder at all. But listen, dude, I'm not saying Chelsea Green is a horrible professional wrestler. I think she's good. I do think there's a lot of potential. But yeah, it was just between the slow motion roll ups and fucking up her finish, I'm just like, woof, man. All I could think of was there are 40 women in that fucking NXT warehouse going, give me a fucking chance. Her best friend Deonna Purrazzo would kill to be on TV.
Can you imagine Santana Garrett sitting there watching that after she got jobbed out in 40 seconds last week?
So next week we get Austin Theory dying at the hands of Tommaso Ciampa.
That poor bastard.
Yeah. Finn Balor will appear, and that
I want to know who is booked to wrestle to begin with. I want to know who Austin Theory was booked to wrestle tonight. Who is he gonna face? That's all I'm asking. I want Shawn Michaels or Triple H to tell me, who is he going to wrestle?
Maybe he's going to come out and cut a promo and be like, Tommaso Ciampa, you son of a bitch, I was supposed to face Kona Reeves.
There you go. All right, well, maybe that was the match. That's why Kona Reeves wandered out later on. Okay. that would make sense. All right. But then I'm glad we didn't have to sit through Austin Theory and Kona Reeves, which, no offense, Austin Theory does have some potential. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, he does.
Although he's probably going to die next week, so that might end his potential.
Yeah. So, not a ton announced next week because one match and Finn Balor appearing. So,
well, so you can't have the whole world presents you every single week, Larry Csonka.
It would have been nice to have maybe one more match announced, though. So,
well, aren't we going to have the grizzled young veterans and the Forgotten Sons?
Possibly. I mean,
do we not want that match? That's probably not a match you want to
announce. Not
right?
particularly, no.
So in that case, maybe you're better off with them not announcing it.
Main event, Steve, the Velveteen Dream wearing a onesie versus Roderick Strong.
Yeah, that was an interesting, what did Morrow say, sartorial? So was that the word he's using, a sartorial decision? That
Sure.
Velveteen Dream went there, wearing his onesie or his pajamas or whatever the hell he's wearing.
Some Ken Patera hand-ons. Hand-me-dons. But, so yeah, he's out there in his onesie, which later on he would take off and reveal Marina Shafir on his crotch.
He went full-blown Rick Rude on that one.
That's right. Yeah. So Steve Cook, Velveteen Dream defeated Roderick Strong 15-40 via pin after fighting off the Undisputed Era, hitting the Dream Valley Driver for the win. What did you think of the main event?
Well, unfortunately, I think I had some higher expectations for this one, to be honest with you, because I figure with Roddy being held off the TakeOver card for this match, and with Velveteen Dream making his big comeback, I was kind of expecting a knockdown, balls-to-the-wall kind of match, and we didn't quite get that. I don't know if it's because May Dream's still kind of working his way back into things. May's just not 100% yet, but it didn't quite get as good as I was hoping for. And I still maintain, and I know I'll get yelled at by people who disagree, I still say if you wear some tights like the Velveteen Dream is wearing, honestly, if you wear those tights or that onesie, you kind of deserve a beatdown. Either way, whichever outfit you're wearing, you kind of deserve an ass whooping.
Well, he got an ass whooping after the match because Undisputed Era kicked the shit out of him.
He deserved it.
So, I agree. First of all, let me say it was a good match, but I agree with you. I expected a lot more, especially because Roddy's so fucking great, and I don't know if it was the time off or that he maybe had an off night, but I thought that Dream largely felt off tonight. I did not think he had not a horrible night, but he didn't have a great night. I thought this was a lot of Roddy carrying things. The reason this never sniffed past the old gentleman's 3 of good to me is because it really felt like they lost the plot here. Because the whole thing is, Roddy was coming in all pissed off because this motherfucker's wearing his wife and son on his trunks. And I was expecting, fired the fuck up Roddy Strong looking for revenge and Velveteen Dream being a total asshole. And I got Velveteen Dream being off, being kind of an asshole, and Roddy Strong basically working for both of them most of the time. So he didn't really get the focus on hating Velveteen Dream. Yeah. And it didn't play off of all the promo work he did and talking about how he was going to get revenge and end Velveteen Dream. It was I'm going to go out there and we're going to have a grappling contest and it's going to be a quality wrestling match and I will try to beat you.
He didn't even say, we're going to have a 5-star classic. He just went out and said, we're going to have a decent wrestling match.
Yeah, so I tried not to have overly high expectations, but I thought, I look at Roddy Strong matches, and the dude is so good, and like you said, he wasn't on TakeOver, so I'm like, oh, so they're going to let him have, a fucking 15-20 minute banger on NXT TV? Alright, well, that's awesome. You have such a loaded roster, you didn't have to throw that or the Cruiserweight title match on TakeOver, you saved them for TV, good. And I thought the Cruiserweight title match really delivered. And then this was it was good. It was there.
I think maybe that Chelsea Green match would have done better on TakeOver. I think with that crowd, it might have had a different flavor. I'm just saying.
Until she hit her finisher wrong, and then they shit on it.
Well, maybe she would hit it right in Portland.
I don't know, Steve.
We'll find out the next time she gets to hit her finisher, which, we'll see if she gets to her finisher again or not.
See if she's on TV again. All right, Steve, that's gonna That's going to bring us to the old head-to-head comparison for the night. And if you don't mind, I'd like to go first tonight.
Go ahead.
I thought NXT this week was an overall good show that felt a little flat and also like a kind of... It was an episode coming out of TakeOver that was like a positioning one where they kind of reset the table so they can move forward. I thought Devlin versus Rush was easily the best thing on the show. And I liked that they announced the Knox versus Kai match. But at the same time, like, it was a good show, but nothing on this show felt hot to me or overly important. It was just like, it filled 2 hours, it was good, it didn't offend me other than the Chelsea Green match. And it was good. And then I look at Dynamite and... I'm not going to lie. I love Dynamite this week. I thought it was on par with last week, and this company feels like they're on a roll and really locked in now. I thought the tag team battle royal, like, it not only gave us the right winner, it set up some other feuds, and I thought it overachieved. The women's division continues its strides to improve. Moxley and Cobb delivered, and like I said, that post-match angle helped build 3 different pay-per-view matches. The tag title match delivered a great TV match, set us up for that pay-per-view match. And the steel cage match delivered. It looked good. It told a simple and great story. And I loved the show. I thought it was a great show again this week on the level of last week.
Yeah. And, I hate to sit here and just kind of go, yeah, you're right. But that's kind of where I'm at as well. I thought... NXT came up a little bit short this week. Maybe it's my own fault for expecting too much out of Velveteen Dream and Roderick Strong, but that match kind of let me down a little bit. And you had some decent action. You had the cruiserweight match, which was good. You had some solid tag team matches. You had I'm sorry, I still like Chelsea Green, but if she could hit her finisher right, it would be pretty great. It'd be even better, right? Even better. But and you had the kind of weird deal with people walking in during matches and cutting promos for some reason. Just kind of some weird stuff going on at NXT tonight overall. Whereas on the AEW, they're kind of going full guns blazing towards their pay-per-view. It's just setting thing up and just making everything mean something. You had Cody Rhodes nearly kill himself on a moonsault. What's not to like, man? I can't really look at anything that happened on the Dynamite tonight and say, well, that sucked. That wasn't good.
Yeah, and I don't know, Steve. I know a lot of people, Larry just likes AEW, blah, blah, blah. It really feels like this show has really locked in since the beginning of the year, and that they have like a ton of momentum.
They do, and I thought that and I thought NXT had some pretty good momentum coming off the TakeOver show as well, because I thought that was overall a pretty strong effort they had on Sunday. But sometimes those shows right after those takeovers tend to suffer a little bit.
Yeah. So and again, like I said, just like I thought the NXT show, I didn't think there was anything horribly wrong with it. I've seen some people say it was a phoned-in show tonight, and. I don't really call it that. It didn't feel like anybody was dogging it. It was just like, it was like a lower level good show that just didn't feel important. And, obviously you can't have like home run shows every week. Nobody does. But, I don't know. I guess the best way to put it is like nothing really connected with me on NXT tonight. And like, made me like, the only thing that really kind of made me care was like, I'm going to see Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai again. I like that. And then, like, I was like, and I really enjoyed the Cruiserweight title match, but, like, it wasn't like I was wowed, Yeah.
As long as they keep Tegan away from the table. That's all I'm saying. Just keep her away from the table. No reason for that. If they try to put her through a table off top of a cage, somebody's going to be in trouble.
And, like, considering her injury history, they have a lot of faith in her right now, because it's like, put her in a fucking street fight and throw her off the top rope through a table, and now we're like, hey, Teagues, we're going to throw you in a cage match now. It's like, what?
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. I know it's a hot feud, and I like the fact that they're getting these opportunities, but at the same time, they both got bad knees. It's like, the guys that come back from injury and then immediately they get thrown into the Money in the Bank ladder match. Like, oh, great, thanks. That'll work.
Yeah, never a good thing. So that is gonna, I guess, wrap us up for tonight, Steve. We're gonna be back this weekend. I got a few things planned for the weekend show. It's gonna entail multiple guests. Steve and I are gonna be doing a big throwback review this weekend. And then I'm going to have, if all works out well, Mark Radlitz should be on to help preview the Saudi show with me. And then I'm having Ian Hamilton on, and we're going to do a deep dive into NXT UK. The birth, the lack of growth, the issues with it overall. Just a lot of stuff we've talked about on and off, and we decided to kind of do a deep dive on it. And Ian is my UK expert since he lives over there, and is big into the UK indie scene and all that, so he has extra perspectives on it that I wouldn't being over here. So it's always great to talk to him.
Is he going to tell us how it's great that WWE killed off the British indie scene?
Oh, no.
No, not quite.
Not quite. So, but yeah, we got some stuff planned for this week, and just we're not going to reveal it, but Steve and I will be doing a retro TNA review. Yeah. So that'll be a good time, and I'm going to let Steve go here in a minute, and then I'm going to carry on with a little solo audio to finish things out. Alrighty, kids. We're going to close up with a little solo audio from Larry tonight. I'm going to preview the Impact Sacrifice special, which takes place Saturday night on the Impact Plus service. A lot of these specials, unfortunately, get skipped out on by a lot of the other sites, but there is a lot of good stuff on these shows at times. There's a mixed bag as always, but, I do find there to be some really fun stuff on these shows. And it helps justify the cost of the service, especially if you're not deep into the backlog of stuff. So Sacrifice takes place again Saturday night. I'll have a full written preview. I will also have full coverage over the weekend. We start off with Jay Bradley versus Willie Mack, and I think you guys may remember Jay Bradley. He had cups of coffee both with WWE and TNA. He's an alright worker. There's nothing really spectacular about him. I don't find him to be bad, but he's kind of just a guy to me. Willie Mack is obviously the star of the match here, and this should really be I think kind of a short showcase match for Willie, because Willie's going to get some shine while Rich Mack is unfortunately injured. But obviously I think Willie Mack wins this one. Again, shouldn't go too long. Should be a nice showcase for him. Next up, we have Joey Ryan and Johnny Swinger. I believe we all know this will be the comedy portion of the card. It's going to be a lot of gimmick from both guys. I find Swinger really more entertaining than Joey Ryan these days. I like his throwback gimmick a lot. And, Joey Ryan is the famous dick wrestler, so there you go. Joey Ryan probably wins. Hopefully it's entertaining and doesn't go too long, because I think part of the problem with the Joey Ryan stuff is his matches will go a little too long when they don't have to. There's nothing wrong with a comedy-style match on the card to mix things up. I personally have no problem with it. I just think it needs to stay in its lane and not go too long. We have tag team action next. The OVE crew of Madman Fulton and Jake Crist taking on Larry D and AC Romero. Obviously, Madman Fulton and Dave they're your unified force as part of OVE. They have the advantage. I really like Fulton these days. I think he's doing a lot of fun stuff. I'm still really waiting for them to let him loose and kind of let him go a little more all out. I mean, I don't need him doing topes and flippity-doos, but I mean, just let the guy open up a little more, because he's shown a lot of potential right now. Dave, no offense to Dave Crist, I kind of find him as the weak link of OVE right now. He doesn't do a lot for me. And then you have Larry D and AC Romero, who were both signed following performances on the Impact specials. AC had a really good one. The Larry D one I really didn't get. I guess Impact sees something in him, and I have no problem with giving a guy a chance. But again, he doesn't do much for me personally, and maybe I'll be impressed here. They really haven't. Larry D has basically not really been used. AC Romero has been used a little bit. Was in that ladder match at Bound for Glory. I think he has a lot more potential, obviously, than Larry D. He has a lot of charisma as well. The OVE boys traditionally do really well on these specials, and I wouldn't be surprised with them picking up the win. But I strongly feel that Larry D and AC Romero kind of are in desperate need of a win, and to make it look like these signings mean something. So I kind of hope that they pick up the win here. And, I don't think OVE would lose anything, especially with Dave taking a fall. And if anything, OVE can get the heat back after the match and beat the shit out of them. I mean, it's fine. But I really think Larry D and AC Romero need a win here. Match should be alright. Next up, we have Moose versus Rhino. And, yes, again, because they met back at Hard to Kill. Moose defeated Rhino in a no DQ match, which was actually pretty good. The stipulation helped a lot. But for some reason, Impact has decided to continue this feud, and I seriously have no idea why other than it's for reasons. Moose, I think we can agree, is a talent that Impact has a lot of high hopes for in terms of making it as a main event talent, and I do still think in many ways Moose has a long way to go, but I also think he's also greatly improved, and his heel work's been really good. The other thing is, and I also realize this, you can't push everybody at once, but I think we can do better than Rhino again for Moose. I mean, just give me something new here. The company's been doing their best to sell Rhino as a legend. I don't buy it. Don Callis tries so hard. His job is to get the product over, but you also have to have some honesty to your commentary, I think. So, they may add a stipulation, which would help, certainly. But honestly, Moose needs to win this, and he needs to get the hell away from Rhino as soon as possible. If Moose loses, and again, I don't know anything, I'm just saying, if he loses, maybe he's on the way out, and maybe that's why they're doing this again. But I think it would be really dumb if Moose lost. He really needs to win here, and he needs to get the hell away from Rhino. Get him into something he can sink his teeth into. Get him in there with a really good babyface worker. Let Moose be an asshole. Let him shine. Let him be an athlete. And move on and start elevating him a little more. Just do something with the man. Feels like he's totally spinning his wheels at this point, which I find to be a real shame. Next up, this match, I love this. We have the North versus the Rascals. And not only is it the North who are great, but it's the Rascals team of Dez and Wentz, which, as we should all know, they are the superior pairing in the Rascals. They have more experience as a team. I love them. All four of these guys always work and deliver. They work hard and deliver on these specials. And they don't have bad matches. You just have to give them some time, give them some freedom. And if they get that, I think they'll kill it and probably have the best match on the show. If this is non-title, the Rascals certainly have a chance to win. But even if it is a title match, I think we need to remember that the North originally won these titles on an Impact Plus special. So a title change is not completely out of the question. I'm really looking forward to this. It really looks like the match of the night, I think, just because, again, all four of these guys deliver. They're really good. And I also still think that these guys really have a chip on their shoulders, especially the North, because the North have been great, but they still kind of have that shadow over them that they're not LAX. And that's a huge thing to live up to, but they've done really well, and I think that they've been great tag champions. Again, probably my pick for match of the night here. Next up, Jordan Grace versus Havoc. It looks to be a non-title match, judging by the graphic and announcement. Grace recently won the Knockouts Championship, ending Ty's record-breaking reign. And I'm a big fan of the move to Jordan Grace as the champion because I think Ty is really good. She can be great at times. But her run did really nothing for me. I felt it was too cliche, too one-note in how it was booked. And that's unfortunate because I think it really devalued her overall because she's really good. I mean, the record-breaking run is going to be there, and it's great. Havoc returned back in 2019, and she's been kind of stuck in that Dark Universe stick with Rosemary and Sue Young. She's never really moved on, and it doesn't feel like they really know what they want to do with her. Sometimes she's this great monster, sometimes she's just there. She hasn't been bad by any means, but nothing overall in her run has really impressed me. And I find that frustrating because I've seen her do a lot of good things, so I'm not sure if it's the booking, just bad matchups, or something is just not clicking in this run. I'm hoping for the best here. Grace probably wins, as she should, because she just won the title. No reason to have her eat a loss this early. Co-main event of the evening is Dogga and Jake Christ. This is definitely a fun one on paper. a loose extension of the Tessa and Friends versus OVE storyline of the past year. I do really like the addition of Daga to the Impact roster. I find him a really good and strong performer. I know a lot of people aren't sold on him yet, but he does a lot of good stuff. He can be used in tags and singles effectively, and Jake has been a really good and consistent performer for Impact through his whole run, both in singles and in tag matches. And quite honestly, I prefer him as a single as opposed to tagging with Dave these days. And I really enjoyed his X Division title run, and I really feel it was kind of overlooked by a lot of people. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it was a great all-time X Division run, but Jake had a lot of good matches. He was extremely consistent, and his matches always have that upper-tier potential if they're given the time and freedom and he has the right opponent. So this match feels like it's going to be kind of an X Division eliminator match based on the recent Daga OV interactions and the fact that there are no real legit X Division title contenders right now. So with that being the case, I'm going to go with Daga picking up the win here. And that should maybe set him up for a match with Ace Austin, possibly at the upcoming Rebellion pay-per-view. Speaking of Ace Austin, that's going to take us to our main event of the evening. Tessa Blanchard facing off with Ace Austin in a champion versus champion non-title match. And this is a great little match to headline one of these Impact Plus specials. The story is simple. Ace cost her the X Division Championship back at Bound for Glory in the ladder match. He then, won against her in a tag match on Impact. He's been a dick to her ever since. He's been a good X Division champion. I think he's turned into one of the best heels in the company. So, since they aren't immediately going with the Sammy rematch, it works really well on a special like this. I think it's smart and simple booking. There's nothing wrong with that. I've repeatedly said that Tessa is a good babyface and also Impact's biggest star. I have no issue with her winning the championship, despite all the hullabaloo that was going on around it. Tessa's a star. So unless there's like a ton of interference from Reno Scum, there's no reason that this match should not be good, and even potentially great if they get the time and again the freedom. I'm looking forward to this one. I think Ace is a fun and really diverse performer. Tessa consistently delivers in her bigger matches. And the best part about this one is this pairing works really well because size-wise they match up. It's not like Tessa's facing a giant like Brian Cage in a singles match or anything. It works. Tessa should win. Ace will likely get to shine a lot here, as he should as a co-champion here. And again, a fitting main event for a show like this. No problem with it. Excuse me, sorry about that. And I like the match a lot. Again, as long as it's not overbooked, I think it has potential to deliver. And I'm looking forward to this. So, Impact Sacrifice 2020, again, takes place Saturday night. I'll have coverage of the show. I'll have a full written preview. And I'll probably discuss it sometime next week into Fallout. A little bit of a mixed bag at times. Some of the early matches don't look exactly great. But again, you have stuff like Daga and Jake. You have the North versus the Rascals. They all look like good matches, and maybe a couple of the other undercard matches surprise us and are better than usual. So that is going to wrap me up for tonight. I do want to thank Steve, as always, for helping out with the usual Wednesday night show. And that's going to close up episode 92 for the week. I want to remind everybody that this is the 411 on Wrestling podcast. You can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, the 411mania.com website, any major podcasting platform. Please make sure to subscribe to our show. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe on the YouTube. Want to go to the pay window. Subscribe all around on your podcasting platform. Share us around on social media. Leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcasting platform you are listening to. And in a closing note, I do want to quickly thank everybody. I know we've gone through a little bit of a transitional change here with the show. Jeremy moving on to do some other things and spend more time with his wife, which I totally understand. And, we've had some changes. I've tried to mix in some more guests. We have Steve doing the Wednesday shows. I've had Kevin Pantoja join me a couple times, and he's been great. I've had Ian Hamilton from Back Body Drop on. I'm going to have Mark Radulich on coming up. And we're just trying to mix some things up. We're trying to mix in some retro reviews and previews and all the regular coverage. So I want to thank everybody because numbers are still really good. You guys have been amazingly supportive. And we're almost going on a year here. We're closing in on episode 100, and your support means a lot to me, honestly. I'm not just saying that. You guys have been great. I know there are a ton of podcasts out there, not just from guys like me that cover wrestling, but professional wrestlers and people that have been in the business. There is a lot of podcast hours out there. So for those of you that choose to listen to us, thank you again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week.